Welcome back, everyone, to a brand new Stranger Things video here at Max Talks Movies. My name is Max Dinderberg. Today, I am breaking down Stranger Things Season 5, Volume 2, giving my general spoiler thoughts on these 3 episodes. We are 1 week away from the final episode ever for Stranger Things. So my name is Max Dinderberg. Welcome back to Max Talks Movies. If you're new guys to the channel, please hit that subscribe button, ring that bell so notified when my videos hit the channel, because I post 1 to 2 videos every single day. I'm trying to get to 400 subscribers, guys, very soon. So please help me by subscribing and ringing that bell. I do TV, movie reviews, out of theater reactions, box office breakdown shows, awards season videos. So please subscribe, ring the bell, comment down below. What are your guys' thoughts on Stranger Things Season 5? Are you liking it? Are you not liking it? Bold predictions, guys, for the finale. Love to hear them down in the comments. And also, guys, please hit that thumbs up button. So, if you're new, I've been covering Stranger Things, I think, yeah, since season 3, I want to say. Or yeah, I guess maybe season 4. We'll see. This is one of my favorite shows of all time. And I was very excited, sad, all of those things going into this last season. And I was very positive on volume 1 of Stranger Things, of season 5. I thought it was really well done. I thought even though a lot of people were complaining about exposition and stuff like that, I thought it was necessary and energetic exposition that kind of got the momentum going. I thought episodes 2 through 4 in particular, it really felt like they kept building off each other, and there's a lot of forward momentum and intensity and things of like that. And they had such an amazing ending to episode 4 with Will obviously having these powers that it really left a mark when those episodes were over. And it's sad that we had to wait basically an entire month for 3 more hours of Stranger Things. So I was definitely way more positive than most people on volume 1. And the reason why it took me another day is I really wanted to wrap my opinion on Stranger Things. When it's things like this, I don't really like rushing to my YouTube and just getting out a video to get out a video. I want to have clear, concise thoughts on what I thought of the episodes. Like, think about it, sleep on it a couple times, then come here and give you my thoughts. And I'll say this for volume 2, is this bad television? No, it is not. This is still really good television. But I will say that volume 2 did disappoint me because I thought it was good, but this was not great television. It was not top tier Stranger Things. Um, these 3 episodes really did have amazing character moments, and there were some powerful sequences in the show. If you're talking about Will coming out to everyone in the end of episode 7, or the scene of Nancy and Jonathan, or Steve and Dustin, like those in between, especially like when Max comes out of the coma with Lucas, like there's some really powerful sequences and character moments. But from a story perspective, I felt underwhelmed because usually when you have a penultimate episode setting up the ending of one of the top TV shows of all time, you want to feel jazzed and excited and enthralled and ever all of those, whatever words I can come up with for a finale episode. And I just don't feel the momentum there for this finale. Now, while I'm saying that, the finale can still absolutely deliver, be one of the greatest finales ever. It's over 2 hours long. So the show has plenty of time to wrap up all the storylines and things of that nature. But I just felt like we had so much momentum after the 4th episode of this season, and it felt like we just never got back to that because there just wasn't many intense sequences in the show. In the first 4 episodes, there were a lot of really intense edge of your seat sequences, a really good like fake out Hopper, but maybe setting up a death for him in the early part of the show. It really felt like the characters were in danger in the first 4 episodes. And here, I just didn't feel like anyone of note of that importance was in much danger at all. Now, again, we have a finale, that's the point, but they just did not continue that suspense and intensity. And usually, when there's a penultimate episode, I'm like dying for this last episode. And I just didn't feel as pumped up about the show heading into this finale. So that is like my general thoughts. I thought episode 5 was the weakest though of these 3 episodes, which could be a hot take, I guess. But the biggest problem too I have is just the pacing of these 3 episodes. I love that this show obviously has become very long, like an hour, hour and a half long episodes. But I felt like now they've kind of gone constrained by it because in season 4, all those episodes were very long, but season 4 really delivered. It's the best season for me of the show, and the lengths were never a problem. Now, when you have a season like that, fans expect those lengths for the next season. And I just don't think from a story level the runtime of these episodes warrants it. Like, I think we could easily have 40, 45-minute episodes in here, and the pacing can feel a lot tighter. But the episodes are well over an hour long, and I just, at times, characters monologue for so long. Like, I love the stuff with Max getting out of, Vecna's mind. She has such a long monologue with Holly, like ridiculously long monologue to Holly. And I'm all cool with her having this powerful moment, helping Holly get out of her, scary stuff. But it felt like that scene like never ended. And I was like, I get it. I think a lot doesn't have to be, a lot in this show does have to be explained because now they're really explaining what really is the Upside Down, what really is Vecna's plan. We understood that now they're not trying to get past the wall in the Upside Down. There's multiple worlds that Vecna's trying to combine. And I thought Dustin's character in particular had to have the hard job of having to explain that to everyone. And I thought that there's like things like that you do need to explain to the audience to make sure we all make sense. I do think sometimes the show has a hard time where they feel like they have to over-explain things so they don't lose the audience. So there's a lot of planning. There's a lot of characters breaking down what they need to do. And sometimes it can be a lot. And I totally understand that. I think for them, like the planning stuff for me is never that big of an issue from like an exposition perspective. Like some people are having an issue with that planning sequence in episode 7 with all of the gang back together. Was it too long? I don't disagree with you on that. I still find the camaraderie and the bits very funny, and that's the part of the show I like. But there were a lot of times where the characters, because they're split off, they're all explaining what's going on to each other. So it feels like they're really beating a dead horse and over explaining a lot on what's going on. I don't know if they're nervous that the audience isn't picking up things, something like that. It actually it's not as crazy as like a multiverse story that most of the big blockbusters today go for, which are really don't make any sense. The show does make sense. It's actually a quite simple way to tell it. I think, they don't trust the audience quite enough. But as I said, there are some great moments here, and so many people are crapping on the fact that why did it take this long for Will to come out to his friends? And I totally understand that maybe it took too long into the season. I just did find it to be such a powerful moment where you never see IPs as big as Stranger Things having a coming out scene like Will has in episode 7. And it's a very powerful moment seeing a huge brand like Stranger Things. It's going to be one of the most watched TV shows, if not the most watched season of television of all time. And you have a huge sequence where Will is revealing he's gay to everyone, that he had a first crush, and Mike obviously realizes it's him. I think what's powerful about that scene too is, and what the show has done a really good job of, is it gives you, each of these characters have very unique dynamics with one another. Like Robin, you feel that connection with Robin and Will. You feel that connection with Will and Mike, Will and Eleven. Then you have Will and his brother. They get very unique dynamics, which makes for a more powerful scene because each of those characters are reacting a certain way. And obviously, it's easy enough, not easy enough, but it's always hard to have a great ensemble. But Stranger Things has always given, like Dustin has a great dynamic with Steve, for example. He had a great dynamic with Eddie. He obviously has a great dynamic with the trio. He had a really cool dynamic with Nancy that goes back to season 2. Everyone has such a different, unique dynamic with each of the characters, and that brings out so many also awesome moments. And the fact that everyone hugs him and everyone's cool with it. I thought it was a very powerful and necessary moment. I don't think you could have waited to do this in the finale. Sure, could he have done it halfway through the season? Sure, but the moment did hit me emotionally and all of that stuff. I thought the second favorite part for me was the Steve and Dustin part. Because Steve and Dustin have not been on the same page. Really, Dustin has not been the nicest character on the show. And clearly, he just cannot get over the fact that Eddie died. And he has this huge fight with Steve where Steve's like, Eddie wanted to be a hero. There was no need for him to do that. And Eddie played hero and got himself killed. And it's a huge fight that happens, which leads to Dustin finding the book. But when they reunite, after Nancy shoots down they thought the shield generator from like Return of the Jedi. Steven doesn't have this really amazing moment where Dustin puts this ladder down and Steve's like, it's so dangerous, it's too dangerous. And Steve's like, I got this, and Dustin's like, it really is too dangerous. Then he lets it out. That he's like, I just can't lose you. I can't lose another, basically one of his mentors, one of his best friends. He just cannot handle. He already lost Eddie. He would kind of be devastated and destroyed if he lost Steve. And Steve just hugs him like a big brother or father figure. That I thought was emotionally satisfying because, Dustin has kind of kept this all to himself since Eddie passed away at the end of season 4. And I thought they had a really nice moment where Steve now finally understands where Dustin is coming from and how, valuable they are to each other. So I thought that moment was really cool. It was cool to see Mama Wheeler get into the action here as well. She had a huge moment as well when she blew up all the Demodogs, which I thought was great. Max reuniting with Lucas, I thought was really good as well. And I was really happy they did the Nancy Jonathan breakup. Now it looks like Nancy's going to come away with this show being single, which I'm also all for. Because in that scene where Jonathan unproposes to Nancy, Nancy says, Steve knows what he wants. He wants 6 kids. And he's like, I think Steve's a great person, but I don't know what I want for my life. I don't know how many kids I want, whatever. I don't know what I want with myself. And he's like, Jonathan obviously doesn't feel like a great fit as well. I thought it was a really powerful and relatable moment where Nancy's like, I just don't need any of you. I need to be on my own signal and let me figure some things out. And I thought that was a really well done scene from Jonathan's perspective, but really from Nancy's side as well. The 2 characters who I thought got way too much of the screen time and are not that interesting. The first one is Kali, who is Elle's sister. I do not like this character. It obviously is my least favorite episode of the series in season 2. And when they brought Kali back as like this big OMG moment in this season, I said, I'm not like hating on this, but I need to see what they do with bringing Kali back into the show. And her monologue exposition dump in the entire episode 5 was boring and uninteresting. And there's a lot of these episodes where Kali is just standing around doing nothing with the gang. Like she's literally, everyone's hugging each other, everyone's doing things, and she's like just standing there. And there's moments like they try to set up this fight with her and Hopper. I do not like this character. It's not the most well acted character, and it's not a very strong character from a writing perspective either. I just do not care about her. And I think they're going to set up the fact that there's maybe a big twist with her because she found out what they were doing. They kind of kept her, and they're kind of setting up that her and Elle kind of need to doubly commit, not suicide, but doubly like kill themselves to destroy everything. Because, the whole point is Elle, they all have strands of his blood, Henry Crowell's blood in them. So even if they kill Henry, they're going to be chasing them forever. So Kali's plan is like let's destroy everything, but we need to die being involved like her and Elle. I really hope like Elle is not sacrificing herself with Kali. Like that would not be that satisfying to me because I don't care about Kali whatsoever in this show. Sadly, just not a well-written character, not a well-acted character as well. Holly is another character who I think gets too much screen time because I get the scenes with her and Max like breaking out. I just think the show, we spend too much time with her. And I just don't think it's the last penultimate episode and we're focusing so much on a character we just met. I just don't think that's also that necessary. So I thought the scene where Will takes over Vecna to help Max and Holly escape was a really well done sequence as well. The visualization of Vecna realizing that Will is kind of taking over him That was some really cool stuff. The scene where Henry turns into Vecna, also really terrifying, very cool scene. Again, I think this was just for me a mixed bag. I think also a problem is clearly the Duffers did not make this show intending it to be split off like it is. I am so done with Netflix splitting off seasons like this. I complained about it with Ozark in its final season, and I already complained about it earlier this year with Wednesday season 2, splitting that into 2 seasons. I think it really screws the momentum of the show. I just think moving forward, TV shows, you either have to release everything as a binge or go weekly. The breaking up seasons into like 2 or 3 parts, I don't think helps anyone because the creators of the show aren't making it to have cutoffs like that. And you can tell from a writing perspective, the Duffers probably didn't expect that 5, 6, and 7 were going to be released in its entirety without, those other episodes. So again, I'm not sure it's fair to completely blame the Duffers because I feel like Netflix is in here breaking up the season. I think it's losing a lot of momentum. So again, I'm very excited for the finale. I'm going to be sad when it's over because this is one of my favorite shows of all time. But I thought the first 4 episodes were honestly great, like fantastic. And I thought these 3 episodes, I was underwhelmed and disappointed. Not that it was bad, I just feel very mixed about these episodes. So it makes me more nervous because they do have to wrap up a lot. But again, it's an over 2-hour episode. So I'm still excited. I just wish I had more like energy, excitement for this finale. So I'll be back next week to break down the series. I can't believe I'm saying that. The series finale for Stranger Things. So if you guys are new to the show, guys, please hit that subscribe button so you can catch me again later. Like this button, hit the like button, excuse me. Comment down below your thoughts on this volume. I'll see you guys for volume 3 very soon.